first video using Share Factory, the editing software that comes equipped on the PS4. We're taking a look at Helldivers. Really fun game. 20 bucks on the PSN network. I sold Far Cry 4 and a bunch of PS3 games to get it. Really happy that I did. It's a top-down shooter. I would say it's a hardcore top-down shooter. A lot of fun. Only really one type of game mode where you kind of pick if you want to fight the bugs, the cyborgs, or the Illuminati. No, it's not the Illuminati, but the Luminaires. And you jump in, kind of like I just did now. There's a few issues with the game. The issues with the game really don't overwhelm you and really don't say, you know, these issues are crazy, I really can't deal with them. One of the issues is, as you'll see here in a moment or two, is that you get dropped from games. I don't know if it's because these assholes kicked me or if because I lost connection. But anyway, pretty much the whole premise is you drop into an enemy territory like I just did, and you start trying to take over some objectives. Like, I was really excited about getting into that tank, because that's actually the upgrade version of the UPC, but they kicked me. It says you've been kicked from the game, but I don't know if that's because they kicked me or because my internet sucks. But that was the home screen right there, and then you go to your ship. Your ship is your ship. You don't share with anybody unless if you want to. It pretty much takes you around the galaxy, lets you cruise, and do all that other stuff. Now, here's the other issue I have with the game. When you want to join somebody's game, it takes you to this screen, and for some reason the developers put all the games on there. They just don't put the games where there's like 1 or 2 spaces open. They put ones that have been filled, and I don't know why they did that. It's silly, because you get this problem. You get down, you're searching for a game, and you finally find the game you want to get into, but it tells you it teleported, you know, boot failed because somebody else joined that game. So it's really upsetting. Sometimes you can spend anywhere between 10 and 20 minutes sitting there trying to find a game that you want to get into. Now, you can just go to that screen and jump into any game you want, but if you're trying to get a particular stratagem or a particular weapon that you really want, you actually have to go through all of them and look for people that are playing on that planet. And that brings me to the next point, that each planet in the system that you haven't defeated already usually has a new engram, or usually has a new... Sorry, I just saw that my boots were muddy. I was getting dirt on the floor. You get a new engram if you defeat that planet. The planet we're on right now is actually a home base that's being attacked, so we're trying to defend it so we keep the system. If not enough people support you and go to attack it, you lose the system that you're in. And that brings me to the next flaw of the game. It's pretty much every time you beat a level, every time you clear a planet, you get contribution points. And what that does is that contributes to an overwhelming number to say whether or not you take that system and you can move on to the next. And really, in the basic play, you really only get 6, I think it's between 6 and 10 points, especially if you're on Helldiver, which is the hardest difficulty. You really only get a minuscule amount of points. Like, you can play this game for an hour or two and get, 48 points, but it really doesn't contribute too much to the effort, and you usually end up losing the system. Now, this is a hardcore game, as you can tell, because you've just seen 3 of us get killed in the last minute. Pretty much anything in the game can kill you. The pods coming in, the enemies, of course, drop ships when you come to get picked up, and when the drop ship lands and you're underneath it, it can kill you. Friendly fire can kill you, pretty much. Yeah, like he just blew me up right there. Pretty much anything can kill you. Friendly fire is always on. A lot of times when I die, I usually end up dying because one of my teammates shot me. And it's frustrating, but at the same time, the game gives you ways to get around it. For instance, if somebody's firing, if a buddy's firing in your direction and it's going to hit you if you lay prone, the bullets go over the top of your head. It's a pretty cool concept, and as I was saying, the game's hardcore. That tank just got me with the explosive round, but that's okay. The game is pretty hardcore. It really depends on the people you're playing with. If you get a good group of people, especially close friends that you're playing with, really it only takes about 15 minutes to clear even the hardest difficulty on a level. However, if you get a bad bunch of players, usually the Call of Duty players, I hate to say it, you're gonna die, because unfortunately with those type of players, they think that it's one of those things that you need to kill and destroy everything that comes after you. It's really not one of those games. It's one of those games where you go to the objective, you do the objective, you go to the next one, and you're trying to get off the planet as fast as possible, because if you chill in one area, you'll absolutely get demolished, because the game will just keep sending people after you. Now this guy is doing exactly what he's supposed to do. He's the last one alive. He's running away from the enemy in hopes to actually be able to call us back in. Now the stratagems are really cool, because you get stratagems by beating planets, and you unlock some of them when you level up. Now the stratagems could be anything from a napalm bomb to a strafing run to artillery support to a rail cannon barrage from your ship. And it's really a nifty system, because what you do is you press L1 and then you use the D-pad to punch in the code. Now if you're not in the middle of a firefight, it's pretty easy, but as soon as you get into the middle of a firefight, one of these big brawls, the codes really become a source of panic. You're trying to punch in this code to either get, your fire support or call in, another teammate. It really becomes this point of frustration and, urgency that you get this code punched in before, people start coming at you again. Now as you see in this, those guys are shooting up little flares. That's pretty much in the level when you're running around. There's patrols. If the patrol sees you, they'll shoot up a flare, and then they'll call in, the bigger, badder baddies. And a lot of times, I try to blast the hell out of the patrols before the big guy sees us. But yeah, it's a really fun game, and now you always have the option. I just meleeed the shit out of that guy. I was trying to revive him, and I shot him by accident. Or I meleeed him by accident, but yeah. But the game is well put together. It's well built. You don't really have to worry too much about loot. Pretty much every time you blast somebody, you don't have to worry about excuse me, about loot dropping. It's not one of those games. Pretty much all loot is acquired by completing planets and leveling up. A lot of different guns in the game. There's, your machine guns, your shotguns, your ray guns, sniper rifles, stratagems you can drop in tanks, APCs, giant mechs. So yeah, there's a lot of different options for building your character to do exactly what you want to do. My favorite weapon at the moment is the shotgun, especially this breaker, the one I'm using right now. I get in a lot of trouble with it because the rounds actually penetrate through targets and through enemies, and I usually end up killing other folk or other players. And yeah, the stuff you do in the level is kind of the same, but it's enough variety to actually change it up and make it interesting. Like what we're doing right now is we're activating SAM sites. So we have to punch in the codes and activate them, like that guy in the bottom right there is doing. So you have to do some of that. Sometimes you got to transport survivors. Sometimes you got to transport a black box. Other times you got to activate a missile silo. You got to defend a pump station. You got to do bunch of different objectives to accomplish in the game. The only thing I really wish is the objectives. I got blown to shit there. I really wish the objectives would actually augment the level you're on. Like if we just activated those SAM sites or those rocket sites, we should really be able to get like rocket cover from them. Or if you activate an oil well or a gun turret or something like that, it should be able to cover you. But yeah, once you get all the objectives completed, you have to go call in the shuttle. Now the shuttle is usually when it gets hairy, because the enemies are actually attracted to any beacon you throw or activate. So you see how that big blue light shooting up in the air? All the enemies that are still on the map are going to want to come to us and try to kill us. But as I said, this is really when your stratagems and all that other stuff really comes into play, trying to survive. And I just blasted the shit out of him with my shotgun. But anyway, the biggest issue I have with this game is the camera. Now, all of us on this particular match we're playing on different systems. However, the camera always seems to want to follow and stick with one guy. The biggest issue with that is if I'm trying to defend the south, and you know the other three guys are trying to defend the other points of the compass, it really focuses on one guy, and it makes the area smaller and kind of squished, so you really can't see what's coming your way. I don't know if the developers did that to increase the chance of friendly fire, or if they just wanted it to be a method in the game. But I personally think it would be better if, you know, my system followed me, and you know that would be. Actually, I just had a realization why they did it. They did it so one guy couldn't run off and, you know, screw the team. And so with that, I understand. But yeah, now you also have to be very careful when that lands, because when that lands, it can squish you. That's why everybody kind of runs away from it when it lands. But yeah, other than the minor flaws, it's a great game. For $20 on the PSN network, highly recommend picking it up. We're going to go to the completed screen here, and that's all the objectives we had. Now you can fail like 1 or 2 objectives before you say you failed the mission completely. You get extra points for extracting everybody, and on the rare cases where nobody dies, you get extra points for that as well. XP bars there on top, pretty much you fill that up, you gain a level, you gain a weapon, or you gain a perk. That's pretty much the basis of that. This is an older video. Right now I'm like 17, and I have almost all the perks. Now the biggest issue with that is I really don't know how the game's going to play once I have everything. Throughout the levels you get this stuff called science or technology. If you collect 10 of them, you get 1 point, and those points go towards leveling up your stratagems and your weapons and stuff like that. Some missions have event mission rewards like this. This is usually when you get your stratagems or your weapons. In this case, we got ×2 XP. So that's why you really want to do the special, you know, missions, is because you get the XP and you level up. But yeah, so that's pretty much my unscripted look at Helldivers. I really got to get a script going here, so I'm not mumbling and blah, 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 all the time. But yeah. Really fun game. $20 PSN network. Highly recommend it. So thanks for listening to me babble. I hope the gameplay was fun and I wasn't too annoying when I was doing it. And yeah.